All right, you want to talk wild card?
Yeah, I want to talk wild card. We got Yankees, Red Sox going on tomorrow. We have Gerrit Cole facing Nate Eovaldi. Nate Eovaldi, the FIP leader in baseball, 279. The American League FIP leader, Nate Eovaldi.
Does that mean he's winning the Cy Young?
No, but he will get Cy Young votes whether we like it or not. And I'd like to kind of give you the quick preview of if I was gambling on this game, what I'm looking for. I think that's a fun exercise. So what I like to look at, I like to look at a lot of splits, your home road splits. It doesn't really matter because there's a lot of momentum, but it's still an important thing to look at whether a pitcher is better on the road versus better at home. It actually matters. Tyler Mahle, for example, I was betting on him a lot when he was on the road because he had a 1.89 ERA versus a 5.5 ERA at home. Just massive discrepancies. You don't want to go with Tyler Mahle at home. Similar to Nate Eovaldi. So at home, he has a 3.47 ERA versus a 4.21 ERA on the road. Against the Yankees this year, Nate Eovaldi has thrown 6 times, 34 innings, has given up 14 earned runs with a 3.71 ERA, but he's pitched really well against the Yankees recently. So when you hear those numbers, they're not that, they're not that crazy, but you hear he is better at home and is a 3.71 ERA against the Yankees. And from what you've seen from him recently, how well do you think Nate Eovaldi is going to pitch against the Yankees?
Yeah, those numbers for me don't invoke that much emotion because they seem very run of the mill. I can almost kind of throw those out. The way that I looked at it was through the bullpen, but Aram, you're raising your hand.
Didn't he just get shelled by the Yankees?
I don't think so.
7 runs?
I don't think so.
Am I crazy?
I think so.
September 24th, 2 2/3, 7 runs, 7 earned, 2 walks.
The Yankees?
Yeah, against the Yankees. He's right. On September 24th at Yankee Stadium, 2 2/3, 7 earned runs. Maybe what I was thinking about was August 17th, where the Yankees faced him 5 innings, 2 earned runs. So he doesn't do all that well against the Yankees. And also, again, on 7/24, July 24th, 7 2/3, 2 earned runs. On July 17th, 5 innings, 1 earned run.
Okay.
Doesn't really give you anything, honestly.
Right. Like you've got some good starts and then you've got a blow up start. I still don't really care that much because Nate Eovaldi, like last time he saw the Yankees was not too long ago. And it sounds like it didn't go so well. The way that I looked at it was through the bullpen's lens because the starting pitching matchup is Eovaldi and Gerrit Cole, which we'll get right back into. But this is the nugget that I want to pull here because you look at the home road splits for starting pitchers often. I look at areas of the team that are trending well versus poorly, and I'm so fixated on bullpens in the postseason. I think they're the biggest aspect of a team in the postseason. And the Red Sox, of the 10 teams in the postseason, the Red Sox are 9th out of those 10 in bullpen ERA. Granted, all 10 teams in the postseason rank in the top 15 in bullpen ERA. Only bullpen with a higher ERA among playoff teams is the Astros, but they're not in a high leverage situation like a wild card game. And the Yankees, as much as we like to make fun of their bad eggs in the bullpen, have a top 5 bullpen in baseball. So that's kind of where I see this matchup going.
So and what I was going to say, when you see the reason why I'm going after the starting pitching matchup is, in my opinion, starting pitching always has the biggest impact on the game. These guys are going to go 5, 6, 7 innings. Will the bullpens play a huge factor in this game, especially? You guys are saying yes.
I don't think either guy goes more than 6. I think both guys go 5. I think they're going to grind it out. You have a short leash, and especially if you're the Yanks, if Cole starts running into some trouble, yes, he's Gerrit Cole, but he's not impervious to running into trouble. Like I'm pulling him and I'm going to Clay Holmes like immediately and getting out of that jam, and I'm going to you're figuring out how you're going to bridge that gap. It's one of those where 1 game playoff, you can't get away with leaving a guy in for 1 batter too long. You can't leave him in for 2 batters too long. That could be the difference of the ball game. So I see them both going 5, and then it's going to be battle of the bullpens. And that's why I think for the Yankees, you just got to grind out Eovaldi. Even if you don't jump on him, if you get him out, by the fourth, by the fifth, as long as you don't let him go six, I think that the Yankees are in the driver's seat because they're going to go to their best bullpen guy. And then what? Then how are they going to bridge the gap to the ninth? Even if you're trailing, if you're the Yanks, I wouldn't feel out of it unless it's a blowout, because really it's just one of those situations where the more guys that come out of the Red Sox bullpen, the higher chance that one of them is going to blow up because they're not that good. And the Yankees, I trust Holmes at this point. I trust Loaizaga at this point. Honestly, Chapman has looked really wishy-washy at times, but after that last outing, I trust him to at least be able to give me a good inning in this kind of situation, high adrenaline situation. I just don't think that the Red Sox will be able to keep up.
The way that I'm kind of looking at the starting pitching matchup, I don't see Eovaldi going longer than 5. I think 5 is the max for Eovaldi in the wild card game. For Cole, the way that I've got to view Gerrit Cole now, and I've had to do it for the last year and a half, maybe even 2-3 years, right? Yes, he might win the Cy Young, but if he surrenders an 8-pitch walk and then a bloop shot single going the other way, he's a pitch away from allowing 3 runs. He's got an affinity for letting up home runs. If it's a solo shot, I don't care. I get worried if there are 2 on base, regardless of how many outs there are, and Devers comes up, or Verdugo comes up, or maybe even Hunter Renfroe, or Schwarber for sure, right, against a right-hander. There are a lot of really dangerous bats in the Red Sox lineup and a lot of home run hitters against a home run allowing pitcher, which just scares the hell out of me. So I think if the Yankees can just run Eovaldi's pitch count up and get him into some high leverage situations in the first 3-4 innings and take his total from 5 to 4, you've got a really good chance to win if the game is close and you get to the bullpen to start the 5th.
I see what you're talking about too, because Gerrit Cole also has a 4.91 ERA against the Red Sox this season. It's not good. So if you're saying they're going to have to go to the bullpen early and the Yankees have a better bullpen, and I would say at this point, overall, would you guys agree that the Yankees have a better offense than the Red Sox do?
That's hard.
I know.
Depends on the day.
Depends on the day. I totally agree.
So Jekyll and Hyde. But I would say I just have so much more confidence in the Yankees being able to get to a Adam Ottavino or a Matt Barnes or Darwinzon Hernandez. I just don't know how they bridge that gap. And the thing is, they're going to have to go to Adam Ottavino. Like, they don't have a choice unless they really want to just throw anybody else out there. It's not really a good situation for them. And for that reason, I just think you got to grind out ABs. But the Yankees see as many pitches per at bat as any team in baseball. So I think that approach is going to help them. Eovaldi's a guy that is never going to pitch to contact that well. He never keeps the pitch count in check. That's not really part of his game. And I think it's going to bode really well for the Yankees. And I think they'll really break through second, third time through the lineup.
The best walking team in baseball against a pitcher that can lose command very easily. That's going to be very interesting. We'll see how many walks the Yankees take in the early goings against Eovaldi. Yankees question for you, Pete. LeMahieu to the IL. Luis Gil looks like he's going to be joining the roster. Do you feel at all comfortable in throwing Luis Gil out there for 2 innings in a wild card game?
No, not yet. Nestor, though. Nestor Cortez, absolutely. I actually hope they go from Gerrit Cole directly to Nestor, unless Gerrit Cole goes 6-7 shutout innings. And I understand what you guys are saying, especially in baseball now. You're going to play the matchups and you're going to get your starting pitcher out there immediately. I get it. And it probably will happen. But if Gerrit Cole goes 5 innings, Jack, we were talking about this, Nate Eovaldi is in 5 innings and they have 3 or 4 hits, shutout innings. Maybe they have 6 or 7 Ks. Are you not bringing them out there for the 6th? Are you not bringing them out there for the 7th? Are you just saying, let's go to the bullpen right now, especially if you're the Red Sox with that bullpen?
Short leash. I would just like, if you could put someone on, like
so basically, but we're saying short leash, every single pitcher in the postseason, regardless of name, you're on a short leash. We're getting to the bullpen.
Long leash for these starters through 4, not long, medium leash like Grande. And then it shortens to tall. Yeah, it shortens to like a shot of espresso in the 5th. And then after that, I mean, it's slight tug and you're out of there. As soon as one of these guys surrenders a leadoff base runner or a man gets into scoring position in the 6th, they're done. They're absolutely done. Shut it down.
And the Yankees are now minus 120 favorites for tomorrow. What do you think about that line? Maybe some not gambling advice. What are we thinking?
Are we making picks here or are we doing it at the end?
We can make picks at the end.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, how does that feel?
I think people know where Jack and I are at on this one. Personally, at least where I'm at, I think it's pretty clear where I'm at on this one.
Let's just get after it then.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going Yankees. I'm going to side with the better bullpen. Offense is generally a wash, and starters obviously Cole is better. But even then, even if you said like, okay, they'll both go 5 and give up 2 runs, if that's the worst case scenario for the Yanks, that they match each other, then I think it's going to be pretty easy for them to get to that Red Sox bullpen. The only way that I see the Red Sox winning is if Nate Eovaldi somehow goes 6+, and I'm willing to bet against that.
Yeah, me too.
Zach, what do you think?
God, it's hard. Like I think the Red Sox, with how much they've been struggling and how the game doesn't really play into their favor, they might win this by 5 runs.
I know that's
just how baseball works, which sucks. But if I had to play this game out, if I had to just close my eyes and run a quick 10-second simulation through this game, I just really think it's coming down to Loaizaga in the 8th inning versus Ottavino in the 8th inning. And I know who I'm running with in the 8th inning there. I love Loaizaga. I was just Ottavino. Yeah, Ottavino. I was just texting you yesterday, Pete. Like, Loaizaga's got some gonads. I love that dude.
Yeah. 99 cutting in on your hands, slider slurve thing that moves 5 feet. The dude is disgusting. Clay Holmes, 99 cutting in on your hands. Wandy Peralta has been incredible. And Aram and I, same bar situation. Aroldis Chapman comes in and Aram goes, he's going to blow it, isn't he? And I go, if he's throwing 99 miles an hour, we're going to have a great inning. If his first pitch is 96 miles an hour, he will get blown up. That is what Chapman is. Chad Green, I still have faith in Chad Green, but
I like him.
Just something scares me. But I like the Yankees bullpen going into it. I agree. I will be taking Yankees -120 unless something weird happens. The reason I was looking at those splits, like let's say Nate Eovaldi had a 2.2 ERA in Fenway and a 5 ERA on the road or something like that. Or we looked at his ERA and I forgot the 2 2/3 7 earned that he gave up. And really he had a 2 ERA against the Yankees. Maybe we consider Red Sox just because if Cole's got a 4.91 ERA against the Red Sox and Eovaldi is that good, but he isn't, going Yankees.
I think splits go out the window in a winner take all. I think splits go out the window. I for me, I'm in a wild card game. Screw the home runs.
Technically, then anything could go out the window, though. Anything can really go out the window, except for I guess a evaluation of bullpens,
except velocity.
Yeah.
What? I don't think we can throw those things out the window because I think if we're throwing those things out the window, then we can pretty much throw anything out the window.
Yeah.
I just, for me, it's like home road splits in a 1-game winner take all. I'm looking.
It matters how well you pitch at home. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, if Eovaldi here, this is what I'll boil it down to for me. If Eovaldi had dramatic home splits where he's dominant at Fenway, my bet wouldn't change. I'd still take the Yankees. And that, I guess, kind of just boils down my perception on it.
With the Yankees and Red Sox, they're always playing in front of close to full capacity crowds, regardless of if it's a rainy Tuesday or a Saturday at 7:00 and everybody's loving it. The difference here is going to be you've got the most emotionally invested Fenway crowd that has existed in a long time. So how are you going to manage that? Eovaldi, we know, has a little bit of psychopath in him.
He's great.
And that's awesome. So I think that he's going to feed off of that, much like how we've seen Walker Buehler feed off of that, much like how we've seen Max Scherzer feed off of that, which we will talk about in just a moment. But I think Eovaldi can feed off the home crowd. I also think Gerrit Cole has some subdued psychopath in him. Oh, yeah. And he loves this villain role. I think he could come in and be such an asshole guest at Fenway, and I think he could shove.
This is the start where he proves he's the second best pitcher in baseball.
Yeah.
If he shoves it down their throat and the Yankees win, Gerrit Cole, undisputed second best pitcher in baseball to Jacob deGrom.
Until Bieber comes back next year.
Let's say he gets crushed. Then do we have a conversation about Shane Bieber, about Corbin Burns, about Walker Buehler? Kind of like, okay, Gerrit Cole might be in that range, not in the undisputed second to DeGrom type category that I think we all think he's in now.
Pete, we're having that conversation right now. If Bieber and Cole hit the open market at the same time, who gets paid more money?
Well, Bieber's younger.
I mean,
that's not really fair.
I think Corbin Burns is there at this point. Like, I really think that conversation is more than open now about who the number 2 pitcher in baseball could be right now. I don't know if it's that clearly Cole and DeGrom at this point. I think Cole has kind of made it clear that he's not on that DeGrom level, and he's kind of with the.
But I'd like to see Burns, because if we're talking about best pitchers in baseball, we're not just doing the top 10 right now, but best. We're looking at a bigger sample size than Corbin Burns. Had a great 2020 and one of the best 2021s ever, but just hasn't done it for that long. We haven't seen him shove in the playoffs like we saw Gerrit Cole do with Houston in 2019. That sort of thing. That's what I was saying. Over the past few years, it's been Gerrit Cole and DeGrom's league. Now I'm thinking Gerrit Cole might win the Cy Young, but might not. Then if he has a bad wild card, we have another discussion.
Real quick, before we move on to the National League, we're on milestone watch. The Yankees' 8th strikeout as a lineup on Tuesday, which is going to happen. They will strike out 8 times, I promise. Yeah. They're going to hit 1,500 strikeouts as a team for the year. They'd be the 5th team to get there this year, and just the 2nd playoff team. Who's the only team in the postseason who has struck out more as a lineup than the New York Yankees?
The Braves?
Nope.
I'm going to go with the Astros.
Tampa.
What? Yeah, they do strike out a crap load.
Interesting.
Damn. Yeah. How about that, right?
Tampa, bad team.
Tampa, great team.
Such a good team. Oh my God.
Best offense in baseball. Strike out so often.